This is a CBS News Miami special report.
Good afternoon, I'm Maribel Rodriguez. We are coming to you live on the CBS News Miami string to bring you our continuing coverage of the No Kings protests across South Florida. Chopper 4 over Biscayne Boulevard in Miami just a short time ago, and you can see the demonstrators lining the street before they walk to what is the proposed site of the Trump Presidential Library next to the Freedom Tower. CBS News Miami Steve Majeri has been with the protesters all morning long. Steve, why don't you set the scene for us?
Well, Maribel, people have been marching from the Freedom Tower here in a huge group. This has got to be one of the biggest ones that I've seen. I've covered almost a half a dozen of these protests. This is definitely up there as far as crowd sizes go. We're going to step out so you can show it. People are slowly crossing the streets here and marching, again, from Freedom Tower, where this all started, over to that proposed site for the Trump Presidential Library. Now, a judge has temporarily halted that, but this really ties into, why people are here. There's a number of issues here that are bringing people out, whether it's immigration, the shutdown, or DOJ. It's been a different issue pretty much for every one of these protests. But for this just seems like a bunch of boiled up anger for the people that are here, that there's so much going on here and they want to make sure they get out and make their voices heard. And again, this is not the first, second, third, or fourth time that people have filled up the torch of friendship in this last year, ever since the second term of the Trump presidency started here. There have been protests almost every weekend here, but usually the bigger ones are here around downtown Miami here. So people, again, are going to be marching here after there were speeches, people shared their stories, and then this is the culmination of it, is they want to really make sure their voices are heard and get their message out here by marching, again, from the Freedom Tower across here and along Biscayne Boulevard and finishing up at the proposed site of that Trump Presidential Library here. So it really does tie in, South Florida to all of this. There are people here that don't want that site to be here, that presidential library to come here to Miami here. And so, again, that has been temporarily blocked by a judge here. But again, we've been talking to some of the protesters here. There's one woman told me she knows some federal workers right now that because of the shutdown, they can't work. And then there are people that don't like the approach to immigration. They aren't really happy at all with ICE coming in and taking people off of the streets. And there's been a lot of people concerned about whether the Constitution is being chipped away at. And so you can see all these different signs here. There are a lot of different reasons why people are here. Depends on who you talk to here. But again, there's probably got to be, hundreds, at least hundreds of people. I'd say close to 1,000, if not several thousand here that are coming along here. There is a police escort it's doing its best to really keep people going through without anyone getting hit. There is still traffic flowing and they're controlling, how many people cross the street. But it just shows how many people there are here and how big this is compared to all the others that we've had. Again, I've covered several of these in different parts, and usually the big ones are down here, but this one certainly has to be up there with the turnout here. Maribel?
Steve, thank you so much for your live report. And now we'd like to take you north to Hollywood. And while protesters have been outspoken and passionate all morning long, Chopper 4 was over the location at Young Circle less than an hour ago. CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner, she's been with protesters there all morning. And Morgan, tell us what you're seeing since we last saw you.
Maribel, I'm happy that you showed the chopper video because I've been saying all morning long there's been a huge crowd here, and I won't know until I see that aerial shot exactly how many people were here. If I had to guess, I would say close to 2,000 people have been here. Now, the road behind me, Hollywood Boulevard, was shut down because protesters just finished up marching down Hollywood Boulevard here in downtown Hollywood. And if you follow me over here, you'll see in the main circle there's still some people here. For the most part, the crowd has started to die down and dissipate, but we still have, I would say, about 100 people here. They're holding up signs along Young Circle here in Hollywood, and every time someone drives by and they are in favor of what they're protesting here, meaning they are against President Trump, they honk their horn and everyone here in the crowd goes wild. It's been like that all morning long. We've spent the last few hours talking to people here at the protest. Some of them have been protesting since the Vietnam War and said that she won't stop as long as there's something to keep on protesting. For others, this was their very first protest, but this protest brought a lot of people together. You'll notice still there are some people in the crowd that have been dressed up. There have been inflatables here all morning long, unicorns, frogs, you name it. And after talking to people here at the protest, it's because they wanted to make this fun, engaging. They didn't want it to come off as anything scary or dangerous. They wanted people here to have a good time. In fact, there have been cutout cardboards where people have been taking photos, putting their head through it all morning long. There have been speeches. Again, there was that march. And Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz was here as well. We had the chance to interview her. She actually said one of the reasons why she's not in Washington right now is because Congress is not in session. There is that government shutdown. So she was able to join protesters here today. She got up on the ladder and spoke to the crowd here as well. You can hear those cars driving by still, some of them beeping. We're going to be here until the last protester leaves. But so far, in terms of any counter protesters, I have not seen anything. This has been a very calm protest here today, a huge turnout, a lot of security in the area, police everywhere, those that are dressed in uniform and those undercover as well, just in case, to make sure that this all ran very smoothly. We had organizers coming up to us, asking us how we thought it went, and I told them exactly what I'm telling you now, that it did run very smoothly. This is a very busy street. They were able to stop the huge crowd of people as they were crossing the road to march down Hollywood Boulevard to make sure that cars could pass through. So things have been very peaceful and smooth out here in Hollywood. Maribel?
Good to hear, Morgan. Thank you so much for that live report. And Chopper 4 also flew over protests in Fort Lauderdale this morning. There you can see people lining the street at the corner of Federal Highway and Oakland Park Boulevard near the Coleridge Mall. Again, we are happy to report that all the protests this morning have thankfully been peaceful. And the protests are expected to last a bit longer. We, of course, will be monitoring what's happened. And if there is a need, we'll come back on the CBS News Miami stream. If not, please join us for CBS News Miami tonight after the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. Thanks for joining us.